What's up, team, and welcome to Mettle Memo number 21. Today's topics include 1. The dangers of future tripping, 2. Negative effects of eating before bed, and 3. Meals and macros, and 4. Training, workouts, and more. Some new additions. I am now recording this and releasing this on YouTube, in addition to the podcast, the Mettle Club podcast by Cole and Eric. And lastly, I've launched a couple programs, but the thing I'm most excited about right now is on my Substack, so where this newsletter actually gets released, I'm every week uploading a strength and aesthetics workout for that whole week. So I'm focusing on more of hypertrophy, the upper body, lower body, push-pull legs type of split. I've added in some mobility and some cardio for those that want to go the extra distance. But this is something I'm very excited about, as that's currently what I am doing. I'm not focused on marathon training. I'm taking a break from it. So the focus is now on building strength and, of course, maintaining aesthetics. I have all of my article archives for everything, including the Strength and Aesthetics program, on the Mettle Memo itself, and you could click on anything and read what you want. Now let's dive in. Lessons learned. The dangers of future tripping. Future tripping, or worrying about what might happen in the future, can be harmful to mental and emotional well-being. It often leads to anxiety, stress, and unnecessary fear about things that may never happen. When the mind consistently fixates on potential outcomes, it robs us of the ability to stay present and enjoy the moment. Instead of focusing on what is within our control, future tripping causes us to spiral into the, quote, what ifs, making it difficult to find peace in the present. Over the past 2 weeks, I've fallen into this spiral a bit. I have been focusing on the what ifs instead of being present. I'm not sure if it was like the wildfires that sparked this or a season of the unknown, but it's been very difficult to escape this process that I'm currently in. Work has had a sense of intensity that comes and goes, and right now the intensity is very high. I'm 95% confident I cannot run the London Marathon anymore, so that kind of hurts. And my knee really hurts due to the IT band syndrome, which is why I'm not running the marathon. And I feel like I've taken 2 steps forward and 5 steps backwards with my injury with my knee. Lastly, the surf break that I usually go surf at, where I find peace, is fully contaminated from the fires, and so that outlet is quite limited right now. There's a lot more, but instead of complaining, I wanted to share the truth. That life will never be perfect, and it is how you handle these situations that will create character. And truthfully, the character that I have had over the past 2 weeks has not been something I'm proud of. I have been stuck in the future instead of accepting what's in the present. One consequence of future tripping is heightened anxiety. The human brain is wired to anticipate and plan, but worrying about the future can activate a chronic stress response. This prolonged state of stress affects both the body and mind, leading to issues like trouble sleeping, muscle tension, and difficulty concentrating. For me, this has been a little bit more like lethargy and fatigue. But another downside of future tripping is that it often creates self-sabotage. So when people focus too much on possible negative outcomes, they hesitate to take action, fearing failure before they even begin. Now, I wish I had the brain that was wired to spiral into some positive thoughts. However, I tend to ask questions that protect me from the negative. And if you've experienced this, you're not alone at all. I learned that marinating on the future can hurt the present, specifically the people around you. How I was able to actually crawl out of this. I began with the basics. I stopped thinking of self and started thinking of others. I messaged some of my friends to see if they needed anything. What I ended up doing was grabbing coffee and hearing their problems and situations. This broke the spiral of thinking about myself and started to focus on others. Secondly, I started writing a gratitude jar again. In 2023, my wife and I put a jar on the dining room table. I cut up small pieces of paper, and every night I would write down what I was grateful for that day. One or two things, nothing crazy. And it was formatted like this: February 1st, 2025, CW, my initials. Today I am grateful for blah, blah, blah. Lastly, I turned to fitness, specifically on what I can do, going back to the strength and aesthetics program. Running has been nearly impossible, and there are certain lifts that make it nearly impossible to move my leg after. So I continued to move around those. I set up the road bike on the trainer inside my house and found a local cheap gym that has an indoor pool to swim. The feeling of fulfillment from completing a hard workout pulled me out of these thoughts. Letting go of future tripping takes practice, but it is possible by focusing on mindfulness, staying present, and reminding ourselves that the future is uncertain for everyone. By releasing the need to control every possible outcome, we create space for peace, for growth, and for clarity. Instead of stressing about what might happen, we can choose to trust ourselves and embrace life as it unfolds. So this is a little bit of insight. I promised that these memos would be transparent, and I'm staying true to that. The past couple weeks have been tough. I could preach all I want, but in practice, it has been difficult to implement. I'm learning the lessons that I am also writing down, and it's because these are tools that I have used in the past that have benefited me in the future. So I'm reworking these tools, and I'm utilizing them again. Now, tip of the week: eating before bed. To be fully transparent, I eat my Ninja Creamy protein bowl, which you can find the link of all my recipes that I eat and use in this memo, every night. Every single night. Typically, I will eat this and go right to bed after. As I wake so early, I also tend to fall asleep pretty quickly after I go to bed. So in short, I'm eating a lot right before I go to bed. Thanks to Garmin and Whoop, I found this to be affecting my HRV, my heart rate variability. And for those of you who don't know, HRV is the variation in time between consecutive heartbeats measured in milliseconds. So it's not the beat itself, it's the time in between those beats. So unlike your heart rate, which actually measures the beats per minute, HRV assesses the adaptability of your autonomic nervous system, ANS. A higher HRV typically indicates a better cardiovascular fitness, stress resilience, and overall health. So when I get sick, my HRV is very low. When I'm super healthy, my HRV is higher. Now, my HRV has been low, and I actually thought that was normal until I understood how others' HRV were, and they have similar fitness levels to me. I started to learn more about what factors really play a role against this. I learned that eating before bed can play a huge role. I started to give my body now 1.5 to 2 hours of digestion before going to sleep, and what I found was insane. And now, I know this is on video, but I uploaded a screenshot. It shows the 7-day average over the past month. And so my average heart rate variability was sitting in like the 62, 63, going up to about 64. Now that was for me good. Then I discovered my friends with similar fitness levels, they were in like the 120s. And it actually, due to the past couple weeks of high stress and poor sleeping, it dropped very low. So it was in like the high to mid 50s for me. And since I stopped eating before bed, it has incrementally increased all the way up to 73, 74. So my regular HRV is in the low 60s. I started to accumulate stress and ate way too late before going to bed. My HRV dropped to the mid 50s. Since I had shifted this eating pattern, my HRV increased to over 70 and is now at 74. Now, I understand this is still low in comparison to others with similar fitness levels, and I'm still working on that. However, my HRV increased by 17% in just 1 week. My sleep performance has been better. I'm waking up feeling actually rested instead of slightly run down. And so my tip of the week is to focus on removing food right before you go to bed. Give your body 2 hours to digest the food and then go to bed. Now, I'm going to try 3 hours this week and see how this affects my HRV differently. if you're reading the memo, you could actually see pictures of everything I've been eating this week, the macros and the calorie count. Also in the memo, you see my training. I give more notes on how I'm training, how my knee's going, how my rehab's going. And that sums up Mettle Memo number 21. So fortify your mind and happy training.